All right. So, are you a humble person? Do you believe in humility? Well, that's a question that a lot of people often contemplate upon is that are we humble? First of all, what is humility? Well, humility is the ability of a person to stay grounded in spite of the success that they've achieved. Many a times people are not humble, but is it important to be humble? Well, absolutely, because when you're humble, people respect you more. You earn your place in whatever field of excellence you've chosen to be in. And in general, people who are humble tend to have continual success in their life because they stay grounded. They are very close to their roots. But the question is humility a trainable skill? Is it something that you can practice with on a day to day basis? And if we look from close quarters, perhaps the answer is yes. So, what are some of the things that we could do at our end to consciously try and be humble in our pursuits? There are many things that you could do. I've tried to compile a list of few things that might be of great help to you. So, here they are. You might want to consider using them in your personal and professional life. The first thing you may want to do is to ensure that you demonstrate more empathy while dealing with others. Now, why is that necessary? Because the moment you demonstrate empathy, you're looking at things from the other person's perspective. And that means that you're keeping other people before you in most cases. Now, I'm not saying you always give other people the priority, but what is important here is that you look at things from the other person's perspective as well. That allows you the opportunity to be selfless. That gives you a chance to look at things from a broader vision rather than a very narrow vision. And therefore, trying to empathize with others, trying to understand where the other person is coming from, what are his or her problems and challenges, which I may not be facing right now. And therefore, this is an important trait for us to practice more and more of humility, is to empathize consciously about the people in your life. Now, these people could be your family members, they could be your colleagues at work, sometimes even strangers. But trying to practice empathy will take you some steps closer to practicing humility in your life. The second thing, which is one of my personal favorites, is to seek feedback actively. Now, what that means is we all do things. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. But if we create a habit of receiving feedback after every venture, every project that we have dealt with, it also takes us a step closer to humility. How does that work? Because when you get feedback, especially honest, critical feedback, unfiltered, it also tells you that although you did a lot of things well, there were also pockets where you did not do that well, or perhaps you did not give your best, or maybe there are things that you could have done better. Now, most of this can happen through reflection and realization, but unfortunately, most of us do not identify these traits or these deficiencies. And therefore, seeking feedback from people around us who watch us all the time, who know us as people, as individuals, can give us unfiltered, honest feedback. And that can go a long, long way in helping ourselves keep grounded because it is of immense importance even when you start other ventures and new projects is that you bank upon the feedback that you received the last time and use that to good effect before you start the next venture. So receiving feedback, especially reliable feedback from people that we know, is a good way of ensuring humility at all times. Number three is to challenge yourself regularly. Now, what that means. One of the reasons people often get self centered or even arrogant at times is because when they do things repeatedly over a period of time, they become good at it. Sometimes they become great at it. Now, what happens is if you do things over a period of time, naturally expertise creeps in. That's where the magic of compounding works. However, the flip side to that is that people also tend to become arrogant. People tend to believe that they are invincible. Now, the problem with this is that it tends to make us feel more bigger and more greater than we actually deserve to be. Now, therefore, you also need to make sure that you do things that you find difficult to do because that will also keep you grounded. It will tell you and give you a clear message that although I'm good at many things, there is still a lot to be learned. There are many things where I'm not so good at. There are things when perhaps I'm vulnerable. And that is a good feeling to have because it not only keeps you grounded, it also makes you strive that extra bit of hard and put in your best to make sure that you're able to derive value out of it. And therefore, trying things which are challenging, which are difficult, sometimes even frustrating to begin with, is a good way to push yourself into the zone of trying to be perfect without trying to be arrogant. And it also helps you achieve a level of humility in all your pursuits. So try to challenge yourself regularly with things that you haven't tried before, which you find difficult to do. Number four, be part of a meaningful cause. Now, often the question that we ask ourselves is, why do I even exist? What is the purpose of my existence? So I'm not going to get into spirituality, but the point is, when you find a cause that you can deeply connect with, it gets your creative juices flowing, you're able to give out selflessly. So when you're part of a cause and you meet people who are perhaps less fortunate as compared to who you are, it also brings in a sense of gratitude. At the same time, it tells you that there is nothing to be really proud about who you are as an individual, right? There are so many things that you don't know which others know, and there are so many things that you have which others don't have. So it kind of makes you level headed, which is another way of looking at things from a holistic perspective. So trying to connect with a cause which is bigger than you, which allows you the opportunity to share and give more than you receive, is a beautiful way of keeping yourself grounded. It makes you both compassionate and at the same time, it makes you humble in your approach. So it could be anything that you want to be a part of. Maybe you want to educate others, or you want to help people take care of their health, or it could be about mental health. It could be about helping them on their finances. Whatever it is that is close to your heart, when you throw yourself deeply into an initiative like that, it makes you more generous and, of course, also makes you a little bit more humble in your approach. Last but not the least, and this is something which a lot of people might argue with me on, is to also try and do daily chores. Now, when I say daily chores, people often have a list of things that they have at the back of their mind. But let's be slightly more pickier or choosier in terms of what kind of chores that you do. Now, we all do things which we need to do in order to get things rolling, in order to get our work done. But I'm talking about daily chores which you more associate with your household responsibilities. For example, doing the dishes, or cleaning the vessels, even for that matter, ensuring cleaning your toilets or washrooms, or sometimes even polishing your own shoes. Things which we often think as being menial, as things which are not really that great. And therefore, unfortunately, a lot of times when we look at people who do these kind of jobs, we tend to have a sense of feeling that, oh, these are all jobs which are below me. And I think that's where arrogance tends to creep up. So trying to do things which you consider to be sometimes easy, but not worthy of your time. But if you put your time into doing things like that, it also allows you the chance to connect with yourself and also enhance dignity of labor. So in fact, it does two things. One is you feel great because you're able to do your own things, no matter how small they are. And at the same time, when you look at people doing those kind of things on a regular basis to earn their livelihood, you also have a sense of respect for those people. So in a way, it's a win-win kind of a situation. So perhaps look at one thing at least on a daily basis that you may want to do. It could be cleaning, it could be polishing, it could be doing something which is apart from your monetary responsibilities, right? So those are a few things that I could think of, but there are many others. There are many other things that you may want to practice, and I'm sure all of you would be trying on your own to put them into practice. So do let me know about what strategies, what mechanisms are you practicing consciously to stay grounded, to keep yourself humble, right? So being humble, of course, does not mean being weak. A lot of people think that if I'm humble, I need to be quiet all the time. I need to be weak as a person. No, not at all. Being humble is a choice. It doesn't happen by accident. If it does, you're very fortunate to have that. But it is a choice that you exercise. Therefore, it's the right way to go about it. So here are a few things that you may want to practice. Let me revisit the points that I just mentioned. Number one is to demonstrate empathy towards other people. Put yourself in their shoes and look at things from their perspective. Number two is receive feedback actively. The more you get to know about your performance, what you did well, what you did not do well, that will make you humble. Number three, is to challenge yourself regularly. Take up tasks which you find are difficult to do, challenging to do, sometimes even slightly frustrating to do, but that makes you feel that there is a lot more to learn, and therefore humility is the way to go. Number four, join a cause. When you connect with a project or a cause or an initiative which is bigger than you, where you have to give selflessly, it makes you both generous, it also makes you humble because you get to see people who do not have what you have, and that's the right way to think about this. And finally, do daily chores, things which you find as menial, as small activities. Sometimes you try to avoid them, but honestly, if you try and do those things more consciously with your heart into it, it will make you humble. It will also enhance your sense of respect towards all kind of activities. So those are a few things I could think of. If there are more, please feel free to let me know. Okay. I hope these things keep you in good stead, and more importantly, they make you more humble. Thank you for listening.